Well, hello, my jazzy friends. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're staying safe, and it's lovely to see you as always. In the midst of my absolute lockdown fatigue, I decided that I would finally play through Star Wars Journey to Batuu, the little Sims pack. You know the one, of course, you know the one. And yes, I'm late to the party, but I'm going to be giving you some of my thoughts on the pack now that I've played through it. I've had a fairly thorough shuffle through everything in this, I feel. Not complete because, to be honest, it didn't hold my attention that long. But if you're still on the fence about whether to grab it because you really want a finished collection of stuff, or you just like Star Wars and you're not sure whether to get it or not, and you've heard not so sparkling things about it, these are my entirely unbiased thoughts on the whole thing in my own experience. So let's dive in. So as far as getting there goes, as you probably know, this whole situation comes under vacationing. So you call up from your phone and take a vacation and all that stuff. I tried to take my Sims cat Maggie with us, but it said pets weren't allowed on Batuu, so she got booted back home and like someone cat sat her or whatever. My Sim automatically changed out of her normal clothes when we arrived to just this outfit that I hadn't really designated her. But anyway, your first little objective task thing when you get to Batuu is to pick your, plan your Batuu outfit. Batui, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, it's to plan your outfit and freshen up and stuff. As far as this section of the gameplay stuff goes, the Creator Sim stuff, whatever, I feel like the Creator Sim stuff is cool. And if you like Star Wars, you're probably going to find it like quite fun and interesting to be like, oh my god, cool, I recognize this outfit, like, wow. I don't know, but for me, like, I'm not a Star Wars human. I've never really seen them. So, I don't know. I'm still easily pleased as far as like fun little things go. And I'm like, oh, it's a Yoda, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's fun. But yeah, I don't know. It was something a bit different, so I liked it well enough. But like, as far as these things being wearable, like, no. Like, it was fine for your sim exploring Batuu. But as I always do when I'm talking about packs, I want to factor in like how reusable or wearable they are in a normal sim life. And like I said, in this instance, I would say basically not at all. Like if you're looking for anything vaguely re-wearable in like a normal sim life, so just like, and when you're not in this Star Wars situation, just going to work and like living and maybe living in an apartment in San Myshuno or whatever, just a normal life that's completely separated from this game pack, then like I don't think, yeah, it's not going to happen. Like, I think the only instances that it might be possible that you would decide to use these things again in a normal playthrough is if your sim is like, oh my god, it's GeekCon and I'm going to go dressed up, or like it's Halloween or for spooky parties or stuff like that. Like, if that's the kind of gameplay you enjoy, then you might get some use out of these things again. But yeah, I don't know. There's some potential uses for them. But aside of that, like, I don't necessarily think you're going to get an awful lot of, reuse out of them. They're not very recyclable as items go in packs. Anyway, I ended up settling on this fairly inoffensive, like, tie-dye looking thing. The next two objectives on the little Batuu tasks were to freshen up at the dwelling and to order food from Docking Bay 7. I kind of figured in my head it was going to be a very, very similar layout to, like, Jungle Adventure or Strangerville and stuff like that. I kind of figured it would take that kind of formula, like, I don't know, you know those kind of like tasks, do this, speak to the scientists, do this. And it does, but this section was kind of like, it was like that, but with very minimal interaction with the actual task, if that makes sense. Like, it's just rabbit holes. So in Strangerville, it's like, go talk to the scientists. So you actually physically go and you'll talk to the scientists, and then there's like the little pop-up like, oh, this is what I have to say about it, you know what I mean? And then you have to like scan for the little spores and stuff. I don't know, like there's some level of involvement with the things that you're being asked to do. Whereas with this, like, it's just like rabbit holes gone wild. Like, everything is so passive. It's just like, okay, I'm gonna go freshen up, and you like click on this shell, and you never see your person go in and like freshen up and pee and shower and whatever. They just kind of magically pop back out. So that's okay. And then it's like, oh, go order food. And you think, oh, it'd be really cool to like go sit down somewhere and like eat Star Wars food. But you disappear into this shell, and then like a menu comes up, and then you pick the food, and then they come out with the food. Like, everything is just an off-limits world. Like, nothing is available to you as far as like interesting things to go and do and see. Like, everything is behind a closed door that you will never get behind. Yeah, you'll never actually see what your sim is doing while they're supposedly doing tasks. So as far as feeling involved, like it doesn't feel very involved. Like it's just clicking. There's a lot of clicking. Anyway, the next part of like the tasks, the next like level up is to ask people about the Resistance and the First Order and the Scoundrels. And I just want to say, if you're not clued up on Star Wars, like I wasn't, I feel like there is zero indication or additional information that you might need to understand what the fuck is happening. I feel like it's really important to say, like, for me, they're like, go and ask about this, scan the Falcon. And I'm like, I don't know what any of this is. Like, you are really, really giving me far too much credit as far as my knowledge goes, because there is none. I have none. What the hell is happening? I don't know. You travel to a world, put some different clothes on, and have to randomly ask people about things, but you don't know what the things are, and you don't know the purpose of asking, and you're like, I don't know, that's all you got. I don't. You kind of have to decide who you're siding with, like, oh, I'm going to side with the First Order, but you don't know if they're the good guys, the bad guys, like what their values are. I don't know. I don't know. I was just like, am I taking missions from these people and siding with them? Does that put me in like a bad position with someone else? Like, who are their enemies? Who are their friends? What are their values? I don't know. These are the things that I need to know before I decide to like align myself with an organization. I'm just not entirely sure like who these people are or like what I'm agreeing to.
What am I agreeing to?
Like, anyway, decided to get involved with the Scoundrels for no other reason than the fact that they were closest to me at the point where I needed to figure it out. Had to get a package back for this guy, so I had to go buy a data spike or something. Went and got a data spike. And then whatever, she's kind of like splicing into this little control panel thing. And it's all like, oh, she's sneaking in. She's doing something sneaky. And then she just disappears into the rabbit hole and comes out with a package that I never get to see. And again, it was just another one of those things that I felt like it was interesting until I realised that I had zero involvement in the actual task. So, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I don't know. Yeah, I ended up doing some stuff for the First Order as well, did some stuff for the Resistance, because I kind of wanted, I don't know, I just wanted to be able to say that I've kind of explored this pack as much as my soul will allow me to make this judgment. But yeah, they all kind of follow the same formula. Again, like former game packs, like Jungle, Adventure, and Strangerville, with the set tasks, but it's just far less clear, with a story that you don't understand unless you understand Star Wars already, unless you go in with that kind of prior knowledge, and all in shells that you can't go into. So you kind of just like, oh, cool, I'm going to trust right now that my sim is doing something really cool that I can't see. Basically. I don't know. Anyway, I think, to be honest, like, maybe this should have been longer and more in depth, but I feel like you get the general gist. That's kind of my concluding thoughts on it. Like, everything is cool, everything that is potentially interesting, or everything that you'd want to look at or be involved in, happens behind closed doors. There is nothing in this game pack, in my opinion, that happens out in the open that is necessarily of any interest whatsoever. The world is so cool. Like, when you get there, you're like, wow, like, this is so aesthetic. This is amazing. It's kind of breathtaking. Like, this is really exciting. But that's the extent of it. Like, that first initial, like, wow, like, that's where it starts and ends. That is where the excitement starts. And it never comes back. Like, there is nothing else happening here. Like, I don't know. There's nothing. There's nothing that happens in the open that's interesting. I just think as well, they had an opportunity here to introduce Star Wars to like a group of simmers who perhaps weren't that interested in it or didn't know about it. Like, for me, like, if this game pack had been super riveting and really engaging, then I probably would have had a larger interest in Star Wars than I already did. I don't know. They could have been like, especially as well with a story that's not necessarily very clear cut. They had an opportunity. They could have done like in a little galaxy far, far away, whatever, you know, like this scroll screen at the beginning of Star Wars. There could have been a whole thing that explains to people the first time they went to Batuu, like, at least some kind of basis of a story of what the fuck is happening. Just to give you some kind of context to what you might need to know when entering, or just some way to convey backstory to people who don't necessarily know about Star Wars, because it was severely lacking. It was very, very confusing as someone who doesn't understand these things. Other things they could have done to make it cooler, in my opinion, is obviously have more interesting tasks and make sure that the objectives are things that you are involved in and can physically see. And honestly, my top thing, because as I always say, I want to know how a pack can be used over and over again and like how they can make the stuff more relevant to like normal sim playthroughs, is put some work into creating Star Wars related items that normal sims could utilize. So we could have had cool kids' clothes, and like you could have had kids or even adults really who are fans of Star Wars with like t-shirts, not t-shirts that are obviously Star Wars exploration, like in Batuu themed. I'm talking about like fan t-shirts, you know, cool little, like you would buy in the real world, right? They could have had t-shirts like that and posters and little like, there's a couple of plushies and stuff that you can put in Sims houses to make out that they're fans, but they could have done something really cool here. Have it on Sims TV and just have some kind of link where if someone doesn't necessarily want to go and do this whole expedition, that there's still some kind of thing that they can get from this pack that gives them something to work with that is relevant to Star Wars. Like they just could have done something. Like, because with the way that it is, if you aren't actively playing in Batuu, 99% of this pack is completely obsolete. Like there's very, very little use for it. I don't know. The pack feels like a very missed opportunity for me in a lot of ways. I would probably give her a 3 out of 10 just for effort, but it's just not enough. It was not good enough. It's just not good enough. That's all I've got. I don't know. Would I want a specific kind of branded pack like this again? Probably fucking not. I think there's lots of other packs and items and material that we would be far better working on moving forward. I'm glad I played through it just to say that I did. I don't think I'm ever going to touch it ever again. So if you're on the fence, this is obviously just my opinion, but she's a no from me. She's a no from me. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Have you got Batuu? Let me know down in the comments if you liked it or if you didn't. Let me know how you feel about it, if you're planning to get it. Whatever. Any Star Wars, Sims, crossover related thoughts, I would love to hear them. But thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time.